Hello and welcome. I am your host of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Author Karen E. Osborne. I have five novels out. The latest is Justice for Emerson. I am so glad that you're here. This is a space for readers and writers to come together and talk about books. So I am very excited to introduce to you today Elaine Stock. Hey, Elaine.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we have a lot in common. And one of them is I'm Karen Elaine, and we don't pronounce it Elaine. We say Elaine. And so Elaine, who writes historical fiction, she explores the role of women who are courageous and gutsy. She enjoys creating stories showing how all faiths, races, belief systems are interconnected and how we all need each other. And today is her publication day for her latest novel, The Last Secret Kept. She is a multi-published before this. You know, she published many books and award-winning inspirational fiction. And she was a past blogger and online magazine contributor. Now she writes books that are for the general audience. So she moved away from that. We're going to ask her about that. We're going to find out about that. But before we dive into your new book, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the shift in focus.
Okay. Well, ever since I wanted to become, to take my writing seriously and to become a published author, which dates back to my high school years, I started off actually in wanting to write a children's book. And it didn't get anywhere past the typewriter stage, but I had fun. And then I moved on to writing romance for the romance genre. And there's a big difference in writing trying to write something that you have read a lot and trying to accommodate a particular reading audience. And I just did not grasp it well enough to continue. So, being a religious person, a person of faith, I moved on to inspirational fiction. And it was the first genre that did get me published. Well, my novel was published in 2016. Prior to that, I had published a few short stories and anthologies. But again, I began to realize that although my fiction was beginning to do well as far as getting known, getting out there, um, I just did not fall into that particular readership. And I didn't know what to do. And I decided to move away and to bite the bullet because I was intimidated by research, which ironically I've come to love. And I have to be careful not to get stuck in it. um, I turned to historical fiction. It's something I've been reading ever since I can remember. It's something I've really felt passionate about. And I think I have come to write stories that some, and hopefully more, historical readers will come to enjoy. The first one that was published in this genre was We Shall Not Shatter. And it was loosely inspired by my paternal heritage from Żyzna, Poland. And that became book one of the Resilient Woman of World War II trilogy. And now I'm working on this present trilogy of When Hope Calls. And this book that's released today will be book one of this trilogy.
Wow. So you've tried a lot of different genres as you were coming along. Me too. And so this is exciting. So let's actually tell us a little bit about the setting and the time period and the premise of The Last Secret. Do you have a copy of it with you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Let's,
holding it up. It probably will come off backwards, doesn't it?
no, it comes out just perfect.
Oh, okay, good. Because I
Yeah,
love this cover.
it
I see it
is.
as backwards. That's fascinating to me. But here it is, and it could be yours. It could be anyone's too. It's up to
Right,
you.
so tell us about the setting, the time period, and the premise.
Okay. Um, let's see. Let me just quickly look at my notes, which are backwards, of course, now. Um, the story opens in August of 1961, and the story begins right when America wakes up on day one to realize that the Berlin Wall is being built in Berlin, Germany, separating freedom and state-controlled life. And remember, this is just 16 years after World War II has ended. So it's a time period where people still have washed back fears and emotions that is this a war beginning again? Has it never ended? What's happening? And they've just spent the past 16 years trying to forget that it's ever happened, trying to bury all the anguish and the pain, the sorrow of losing people, of the shock of it all. And now it's all right in front of them. And it cannot be avoided. So the story takes place in a fictional town next to Rochester, New York, on the shore of Lake Ontario in 1961, as I've said. It's told through the viewpoint of Fanny, who is a defense attorney, and Gina, who is a young woman, newly married, and to Kenny. And Kenny has been chewed up and spat out by society for
Mm.
and being categorized, I should say, in as a developmentally slow man. And civil rights was a, hey, it's funny, in 1961 and through the early 60s, civil rights was, yes, it should happen, but no, it should not. And so a lot of prejudice was rearing its ugly head. And if you were mentally stigmatized, it did not help matters. And what happens is that Kenny is accused of murdering a co-worker, and that's when um, Fanny takes on the case. But it's also a dual timeline. So there is 1961 is told through those two perspectives of Fanny and Gina, but the step back into time of post World War One and during the World War II years in Berlin is told through the viewpoint of Helene, which is Gina's grandmother. And Helene has raised Gina and, well, has raised um, Gina as a daughter after Helene's mother, um, after Gina's mother has taken off. Not in, Gina knows that Helene is her grandmother, though, not a replacement mother.
Yeah, wow. And the two stories come together somehow?
Yes, they do, because you go back and forth, and it comes together um, because of a family secret of what Helene has done that has it could have negative consequences to Kenny's case and Gina, who is
Wow.
protecting their child, and it's all or nothing. Everything has to work together, and nothing can work against someone in this case because of all the emotions connected to the characters and to this that Kenny can be losing his life.
Yeah, wow. That is very, very exciting. So you say that you like writing about courageous and gutsy women. So in addition to being courageous and gutsy, your two female, your Fanny and her grandma, her great grandma, I guess she is, her
Uh,
grandma.
Gina, Helene is Gina's grandmother.
Yes. So what do you like about these women in addition to being courageous and gutsy?
Well, I think I try to make my readers appreciate characters who are not perfect because we live in an imperfect world, and I alone am not perfect. And I um, battle with a lot of things, just like we all have our issues and our strengths. So, Fanny, for instance, is a determined woman. She is determined and strong in the way that she wants to become a good and notable female defense attorney, but she is also wanting to give and protect people's rights, especially to those who may be seen as not deserving rights.
Mm,
So
yeah,
to do this, she has to conquer her fear of failure, and which is something I think many of us can relate to.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the whole imposter syndrome
Mm.
thing. So many of us as women, I'm sure men suffer from it as well, but it seems to be attached to us more that we're not they're going to be find out that we're not really as good as we're supposed to be. Yeah. And the fear of failure. So that's powerful. Tell us, so are you working on something now? Does it, because you said this is part of a trilogy. So have
Yes,
you
I'm actually,
started book two?
yes, I'm halfway through it.
Mm,
And I write in until I have to start researching. I'm a huge pants seat of the pants writer. I cannot plot an outline. It just destroys the fun for me. So one of the negative things is that I write and write until I need to strain out something research wise. And then I have to go and research that and make sure I do it right. And I'm also a fact checker that if I find out that apples grow on trees, I have to also um, check myself and make sure that apples really do grow on trees a few times. I don't like the idea of getting something wrong, but it's fun for me. It really is fun.
You know, you and I keep finding all these things we have in common, including New York State and upstate and being historic and dual timelines. And I thought I hated research. And I avoided, even though I loved reading historical fiction, I avoided writing historical fiction, just like you, because I thought I hate research. And then I found out I love research. It was so, you find out so many cool things.
Mm.
And then, like you, I'm a pantser. I write, write, write. And then I go, hmm, happened though in that year, go check and see what's real.
Check
And
and check and check.
yes, check and see. So we have a lot in common. So one of the things we like to share with our audience is not only the books that we're writing, but the books that we are reading. Was there an author in your life as you became a writer? Any time in any of the genres, any of your writing periods that just had a really big impact on who you are as a writer?
Actually, there's two.
Mm,
I haven't read Danielle Steele for years, but decades ago, I was a big reader of hers. And I don't know if there's a technical term for this as far as writing goes, but I call it a full circle writing, and I distinctly saw this pattern in her novels. She began a story, and when she finished a story, it became full circle.
mm.
Um, Let me give you an example of that in my own um, novel, if you can bear with me a second. Okay. In The Last Secret Kept, I have a prologue Okay. And it's about two, and I don't want to give too much away, so I'm being a little evasive here. Two people are looking through a door at each other. Okay. And chapter one begins with Fanny almost opening her door because Gina, although she hasn't met Gina yet, she doesn't even know Gina's name. She sees a young woman, which is Gina, walking by her house, and she seems very upset. And she almost opens the door, but her cat comes between her and the door, and so she doesn't open the door. But then, if you jump to the very last page of the story, you will see that Fanny is knocking on a door, and I won't give away about who possibly may be on the other side of that door. But you see, from the beginning, two people
Yes.
looking at each other, and this closes the novel. Two people are looking at each other, and that I got from Danielle Steele.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I give Jodi Picoult a lot of
Mm.
credit. I've devoured her novels. She's a fabulous reader. I even met her once at a book signing, not my book signing, but her book signing. And it'd be something if she came to mind. But anyway,
I hope
so
you're listening, Jody.
yeah, really. I'm the one that asked about Moose, but what I gathered from her novels is that she has a punch in her sentences, and I'm sure she realizes what she's doing. If not, she's a genius anyway. But scattered throughout each of her novel, the reader will come across a sentence that makes you go, "Oh, really?" And then it's like, wow. And then, in other words, she will write these sentences that will make you inspired to, when you finish the novel, think about that one scene, that one sentence over and over again. And I hope I do that in my books.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely. So have you read something that recently that you could recommend to our?
Yeah. I'm making sure of the author's name because she's new to me, although she has written extensively. Julianne McLean. Have you read her? I just read my first book by her, although it's not her first novel. It's not even her, well, anyway, I highly recommend it. It's called A Fire Sparkling. It's an amazing book. I've never read one like this that every time you think it should be ending, whether it's halfway through, you would think, oh,
Mm,
what's the author doing? And it seems like this is a perfect way that it's ending. Everything seems to be answering, concluding up, and like, where could she possibly go? Surprise, there's a plot twist. And it happens several times throughout the novel. And I could not stop reading it. I just said
it's
it's a great.
clever. That's a very clever feeling. I'm watching a series like that. My husband and I are watching a show and we think, okay, so now this must be the last episode because and then boom, no, there's another, five more episodes, six more
Uh,
episodes.
can
So
you
I
tell
think
me?
that's so much fun. That's a great, I have to look for her. I
Yeah,
like
can
that
you
a
tell
lot.
me can you tell me the name of the series?
Yeah, it's The Firm. So it takes place, the Grisham
Mhm.
book, The Firm. So it picks up years after the book ended
Yeah.
and and it's a dual timeline and lots of action. But we just finished like the sixth episode and we were sure that it was like done and no. There's, there's more we can learn from. So I find I can learn from television, from movies, from life, from books. I'm always looking for ways to write something better. It sounds like you do too.
It's the art of storytelling.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
and
artist.
if I think an author focuses on storytelling more than am I writing the perfect way or whatever. If if you tell a story, I think you will be good.
I agree with you. It's all about storytelling. Well, now, Elaine, you have this audience just eating out of the palm of your hand. They're really excited about your books. You can find her books wherever you buy books, wherever you borrow books. If you don't see it, ask for it. But if they wanted to be in touch with you, like go to your website or do you have a newsletter, how can they be in touch with you?
Yes, please visit my website, elainestock.com. Okay, I have some book trailers for my books there. I have links, buy links. I have social media links. Um, I have some events listed. And also, the very best way to find me on the web is to go, if you're on Facebook, author Elaine Stock. I'm also on Instagram. But the best way is also to subscribe to my free newsletter. It comes out once a month, and the link to that you can find on my website as well.
They can just sign up for it.
Yes.
Excellent. So when you do that, you buy Elaine's books, you read them, you write reviews, you know the drill. Then and also be in touch with her on her website and sign up. And in the little note section, tell her that you met her on what are you reading, what are you writing. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great week. Elaine and I both hope that you have a great week. Bye bye.